The following video contains content some viewers might find disturbing. The views and opinions expressed here are not facts and are nothing more than entertainment. The views and opinions are not facts and do not represent the views and opinions of Xirtus or our channel, and do not necessarily represent or reflect the views of the guests, YouTube, Google, mainstream media, society, or civilization at large, or anybody. Viewer discretion is advised.
Let's break some rules. All right. So first off, I just have to admit that before the show started, we've got all these new members paying their tithings, and that's amazing. TB, Nixon, Al or Never, Travis McLung, you actually gifted a membership. Look at this. Look what's going on here. This is beautiful. Okay, Travis is helping people out because he's a saint. You know, literally, all you do is perform a couple miracles and you're good.
Three, technically.
3. That's true. Well, Mormon couple. So
nice try, Travis McLung. Let's see one more.
Based. Okay. Now there's also a guest. We have Benjamin Nathaniel. We may also have Eric Dilly. He's got a little tech problems. If not, we'll talk with him more later, but he may be able to make it back, hopefully. But Ben, how are you doing? It's been a minute.
It has been. I'm great. So
It's one of those New York minutes. But Ben and I have worked together. We've lived together. We've dreamed together. We're kind of like the Marines in a lot of ways. And
you're there for life.
So. Yeah, it's pretty good. So, and Pink Trip, how you been this week? What have you been up to?
Not much, dude. Same old shit. Nothing worth talking about. What about you?
Illustrious as ever. Well, we were talking a bit about the Twin Peaks show. And I feel like this is one of those things where everybody knows about it more than I do. How about that?
It's a franchise. Yeah. There's a lot of, I do think they try to run with it and like remake it, but the original knowledge is in the first show, in the movie.
I mean, it just, so yeah, Twin Peaks is like, it's all of it at once. It seems so strange. You've got a Disney, because ABC, so it's a Disney show.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's a Disney show. It's ABC on normal television, like aerial syndication. I could have watched this without cable, just off of aerial waves back in the day, like from your little Appalachian
My
television.
mom watched Twin Peaks. She was
there you go.
Normie.
So ultra normies had access to this, and it's just brutal Gnosticism, right? Like the whole thing is nothing ever is allowed to have closure or make sense. And it's all about this sort of, these are the missing records of the lost, who killed Sarah Palmer, right? That's the story of Twin Peaks.
Laura Palmer. And
Laura Palmer.
I think I'm just going to jump in since Twin Peaks was my idea. I'm just going to get us started. Yeah, I think things actually do make sense. It's just, it takes a long time to explain it. And, Ben, I don't know if you watched the most recent 2 seasons, the comeback season.
That's on my list.
Dude, it explains everything in a way that's totally satisfactory and you wouldn't have imagined would actually make sense. And not only that, but what I want to talk about, and it's a little bit of a spoiler for people who haven't watched the new seasons, but episode 8 of the comeback season is a silent movie about basically atomic bomb testing leading to a interdimensional tear that allows a prime evil,
it's like Stranger
basically
Things,
like Lovecraftian god to vomit its essence into our reality. And then you see that the one of the main characters of the show from the very first episode of the first season is Harry Truman. Of course, it's Truman that dropped the atomic bomb on Japan. So all of it is actually planned in advance and makes total sense. But when the show first came on, and I do want to get more into that too, like technology, like opening Pandora's box, but when the show first aired, there had never been anything so strange on television, quite frankly.
Right.
And it started off as a very dry procedural kind of police drama. We found this dead girl in this kind of northwestern foggy town. People hadn't even really seen that imagery on TV.
She's in a river.
Network days, right? Yeah, and then slowly it just started seeping in elements of strangeness, mostly emanating from people's behavior. And it's like, why are these people behaving so strangely in a serious show? It's like, is there more to this? And that is exactly what we're living through right now. Is we're now seeing Twin Peaks in real life. Like, why is, for instance, Trump so strange? Why is Biden so creepy? And what Twin Peaks teaches you is on a deep esoteric level that when there's extremely strange events and strange behavior, there are explanations, but they're going to be unimaginably strange and unique as well. So we're living through such a time of people behaving strangely in public in ways we've never seen. That's like really echoes to me what David Lynch brought into the public consciousness with Twin Peaks. And so many shows came out that tried to capture that. It's still happening today. It started with Wild Palms, Northern Exposure. Just like all of a sudden, every serious show had a spiritual aspect where it's like people are behaving in such a way where there's only could be an esoteric or a spiritual explanation to that. And now we see that kind of invading, off the screens and into our reality.
Some things just pervert naturally. And I'm taking this as an apologetic defense because someone recently pointed this out to me, and this is actually a public apology because, and I've tried not to make a big deal about it, but when they talk about like the trans library kids things and everything like that, and I've weighed in. You've heard me, and I've said things, and a friend of mine who I used to go to school with said, "Hey, remember when we were like 17 and we used to go to the elementary school that we used to go to and like help out with the kindergartners, and you read them Midwife's Apprentice, and you showed me the picture of myself, and I was like, oh God, that's right. I did do that. I did do this. This was me, because back then I used to dress like this. Like, hey, I mean, this is normal in California, right? Birkenstocks and everything else. This is me in 2008, 9, something like that. Look at my Kanye sunglasses. All right, this is real. And I'm reading The Midwife's Apprentice to like 6-year-olds.
In the
Did you
future,
ever-
people will say you were a time traveler from like 2023.
Well, I mean,
Andreas, did you
can't
ever meet
disprove it.
Oliver Tree, the artist?
Oh yeah, for sure. Oliver,
Yeah.
actually, of course. Oliver went to school with my younger brother Sebastian
Yeah.
at Harbor High School, and we've done a lot of videos together. Actually, I have a bunch of. We shot a short film together once where I was a time traveler, actually, and I was seeing that Oliver Tree was emulating my life at a community college, and I was trying to save him from going down the same path.
Seems
basically.
reasonable.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just wanted to say, like, Midwife's Apprentice. Be careful about that book with your kids. Probably even more than
So you've never seen Twin Peaks?
No, I have, and that's the thing. Like, I don't think I understand it even more
Were
now.
you awake back then?
So when I first saw Twin Peaks, I was really little, and so I kind of imagined it like it was like Ace Ventura at times in my life. I had no idea that it was weird, right? Like I hadn't learned enough about human behavior to understand that was
culture. Yeah,
the first series in the 90s wasn't as weird because it had to be kind of toned down for.
It wasn't
The
over.
second season got very weird, and
But-
it drew a lot of criticism because the second season got extremely esoteric, and then it was supposed to be renewed for a third season, but the season finale of season 2 was received so poorly that they canceled.
But there's a milieu of things that are happening, like a water hole of things. The water hole is Twin Peaks because they start with this idea of, okay, we're going to have a show and you're like a great artist. David Lynch went to USC and he's one of the greats. Like we'll have him do this show. And then they try to control it. They built a format and then he's like, okay, well, this will be the way we do it. And he just goes with them, they think, but then he keeps injecting things until the show turns back into the thing it really was originally. Because he's allowing, and that's the whole thing he always says is that you can't tell when their ideas and my ideas are different because they become each other. And that's him swallowing and assimilating reality. And so at the time, there's other shows, right? There's the Alf special that's happening at the same time as Twin Peaks is coming out. And there's the, the beginnings of Blair Witch Project. Blair Witch Project is really based on the Laura Palmer idea. If you think about it, they're like, this is the media that we have that shows us what happened here. I mean, it's a different portrayal, like a style. It's like a Lars von Trier Dogma film.
That was a cultural icon too. If you remember, I mean, we were teenagers when it came out. Everyone wanted to see that movie, usually multiple times. But
the Red Room, is the other thing because we think of the Red Room like with Eyes Wide Shut, and like Eyes Wide Shut really took the Red Room to So what do you think of the Red Room?
Black Lodge. I mean, that's based on the Masonic Black Lodges.
Yeah,
Verisimilitude, Grok,
so
Hermeticism. I had it open somewhere.
It's also interesting that I think the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first time you see this lodge, it's in like a dream, right? It's not manifested in real yet. So you can think of these as different planes of existence.
Yeah,
so that's
it almost like
the characters interacting with power.
Let's explain that a bit. So like the Black Lodge. All right, so this is a place which like the poltergeist Indian burial ground turned into a
guy and all the arm.
This is turned into the Red Room is like a Masonic lodge built on an Indian burial ground. Is that the point?
Just the design of it is built on Masonic lodges, but it's called the Black Lodge in the show. It's not called the Red Room.
No, there's both. Well,
it's called the Red Room before he actually gets in. Yeah, you're right. There's the White Lodge, the Black Lodge, and some people say there's a Gray Lodge even too.
See, you know what the difference is between me and VBDC? I've seen those. It's one of my favorite shows. I watched the old one. I watched the new reboot, which I thought the reboot was actually pretty good.
Oh yeah.
But I don't have any fucking clue what's going on. I just enjoy the show.
I can explain. I understand that.
I've gone into deep. There's so much. There's like a rabbit hole you can go down on YouTube.
It's such an important show because it's about the inevitability of humans progressing to the point where we start ushering in things out of the Pandora's box that are lying there dormant. We don't even know if it's the first time they're being activated, but like there's these primeval forces out there that we're eventually going to stumble onto, just like we might have with atomic bomb testing and then ushering in AI and stuff like that. We're seeing more and more bizarre behavior. And another great thing about Twin Peaks is every sub character in the show is also bizarre. And the reasons behind that are equally esoteric and spiritual. So it's just introducing into the consciousness, first into the media consciousness, the idea of esoteria and, spiritual strings in general was not part of pop culture before Twin Peaks. And now it's come off the screens into our lives. And you have people blending of news and spirituality, like people like Russell Brand. And there's a lot, even Joe Rogan is a spiritualist and talks about how mankind is birthing a spiritual butterfly.
Okay,
and
there's
stuff
a
like
science. There's a science version of demonism, right? So there's a science for like
Demonology, yeah.
psychology is demonology in a lot of ways, and so this idea
Used to
that
be.
well, it's the same.
Officially.
Okay, whether or not you believe in a demon, if everyone starts acting a certain way, these attributes become described as Hurricane
Right.
Katrina. We all of a sudden now think of things, and it doesn't really matter if it existed before, if this is an archetype. It's the same thing with like people say,
Right.
I am the way, the truth, and the life, right? Like there's a way, there's like a way that's a behavior. There's a behavior that will do things. There's consequentialism. So if you're having an evil behavior, there's evil consequences, or whatever that means, disorder as opposed to order, you know, chaotic consequences. But there are consequences to actions, right? Like that's the issue.
Consequentialism was a philosophy that everything you do, like you should only judge things based on the end effect.
Right.
Good and evil is really, it's based on action.
Right. Yeah. There's a door and you walk through it and you follow a path. And so in Twin Peaks, they have a big idea of this where you're looking at people's behavior as, you know, this kind of, are they possessed? That was one of my first thoughts. Is it that what's going on? I mean, or is it more that they are those behaviors
in that situation as well? Maybe they asked for possession.
Right.
And
it's
like there's like direct lines from our interior experience, like you were talking about, like it's psychological, like demons and stuff like that. But then there's a direct string to things that are actually happening in the in the 4-dimensional world. You know, you actually, you know, like when Oppenheimer said, "I've become death, destroyer of worlds." Like literally, he's like, I didn't mean to do it, but like out of my brain came an idea, and now they're able to like wipe out whole countries and stuff like that. He's like, I did that, you know, like we knew the concept. I didn't even realize I was like, that's what I was doing. I was doing something else. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I just fulfilled this like Hindu prophecy.
What's so Dave, Ben sent a link to a show, Sunshine, right? Which is
that's just where it's the pre-stream thing.
Well, it seemed kind of similar.
Well, actually, it has some, they're saying about saving a reactor on a ship or whatnot, or saving a ship. I mean, they have a scene where the computer goes haywire because it gets too hot or something, and they can't cool it down.
This movie's pretty trippy.
You seen it?
Oh yeah, it's from like the 2000s, right?
Yeah,
it was really a big deal, like with movie buffs.
I remember. It's a cult class. It's amazing. It's really good. It's probably not a huge budget either.
Are we going to stay on the Twin Peaks topic at all, or?
Yeah, stay on it. Yeah.
Okay.
One more thing I wanted to introduce. Oh, do you have something, Mark?
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you think it's meant to be interpreted? Do you think it? You think David? Here's a good question. Why hasn't David Lynch come out and said this is what it's about?
But he said because he doesn't want. He kind of does, but he also says that closure is bad, and like I think it's also he seems like a Gnostic, so he thinks that having a question is a thing that lets you like it's one of those math teachers who doesn't really want the answer. He wants the work. He wants to see how you work out the procedure. So it's more about how people think, and it's a reflective concept because he's learning from what people are saying and thinking as well. But he does kind of say things, right? Like he says, if you ever, I remember when he started making quinoa on YouTube and he'd show you how he talks when he's like, this is a donut. This is a glazed donut and it's amazing. And it's a black and white footage, but you can't taste it. And if you've never tasted it, you wouldn't understand what I mean when I say this glazed donut is amazing, right? Like I think
also
that's
Mark Frost wrote it. You know, David Lynch didn't write it. Mark Frost did, so he probably can't answer like every question.
This is true too. Although I do think that I do believe him when he says like the ideas become.
He said in long form interviews, David Lynch has said that it's about Kali Yugas and stuff like that, and like seeing how like the 10,000 years of darkness actually comes in and stuff like that. And what's awesome though is like what actually happened like week to week in the arcs of the show and stuff like that had no effect on like the outcome of the show. Like the outcome of the show is guaranteed, but he had no idea what was happening with the characters. He was like, I know it's going to end irrespective of what any of the characters do. And that's why he introduced in the first season the character Bob, who is the evil spirit from the Black Lodge, I guess evil, whatever, that inhabits Laura Palmer's father. And the person who played Bob was a lighting grip who got caught on camera hiding behind a couch. And he got caught on camera and it looked so creepy that David Lynch is like, we have to use that shot. It's meant to be. And then he wrote him in as a main character, like the main villain, basically, of the first 2 seasons. But that didn't affect the outcome of the show. He's like, so it's like everything that happens. And this is what I kind of believe, that like, we're going where we're going as like a species and like a construct of reality. It's going to where it's inevitably going, but who knows where all of us go. And it doesn't, in its own beautiful way, we can express ourselves and have all these different outcomes, but still, so it's like individually we have free will, but collectively it's determinist.
Yeah.
Right.
You think it would be similar to a song where a lot of times there is no real meaning? There's maybe like little meanings in like certain things, but like the whole song is not like a story. It's not like a
so like cockatoo twins. That's a really actually a wonderful metaphor. Is like are cockatoo twins actually making music that doesn't have? It's like they're singing in tongues, right? Cockatoo twins sing in tongues, and you're listening to whatever. You can never get the lyrics because the lyrics are never correct, and they change all the time. But they're the feelings that are coming out, and also this kind of it's very nihilist because you're saying, well, whatever I get out of it makes it valuable because I'm valuable, and that's
he's great at the way he presents his characters. Like you fall in love with his characters really quickly. He's great at that, and it's like there's like he's good at creating emotion and feeling from his films, without really caring too much about the plot line. Like I don't really get into the plot line. I watch it more like I would listen to a song, where I can interpret things myself. Like everybody's going to have a different interpretation of what it means or what it means to them. But like the aesthetic value and like the characters that he creates, even though a lot of them don't make sense, that's what really draws you in. So I don't know if it's really meant to be something.
I never really realized
that's supposed to have a meaning.
You are Twin Peaks incarnated. I never really thought about it, but this is really okay. I get it now. That's really because it's all about.
I'm a huge David Lynch fan, but I don't claim to understand any of his shit. I just enjoy it.
Is his other work like Twin Peaks though?
Yes. Yeah. Elephant Man, Eraserhead, Blue Velvet. Yeah, it's all the same because that's
Blue Velvet. The Dustin Hoffman scene is the greatest thing ever.
Oh my god! Yeah. Just in the way that like John Heinlein was tapped into like direct details about human scientific development and cultural development, like perfect predictions.
Hey, Facebook user is literally, you got to like, really, this is funny right now. Go read Cockatoo Twins lyrics, read what they say about the fact that the lyrics are printed in their music and that they put them on Spotify. Cockatoo Twins, read what they say about that. Like it's not their choice. They didn't do it. They're not their lyrics. They don't sing those. All right, you go.
Oh, I'm a stoner, bro. I totally lost my place.
Oh no, but like Twin Peaks, bro. Twin Peaks. Yeah.
What were you saying? Because you were saying something good. Damn it. I was interested in what you were saying. I can't remember.
Well, I'll say something else about Twin Peaks, which is in the final season. There's a point where Agent Cooper goes down a certain path of basically breaking his own mores and like character traits, and the reality actually starts to fall apart. So instead of looking like a produced TV show, they stop using makeup, they stop using lighting. They actually film a whole conversation in one cut in a car using only the lighting built into the car and no makeup, and they look horrible. They have a horrible bad sex scene that just looks so awkward and uncomfortable, and like everything looks gross. And it's like it's intentional. Yeah, it's like, so it's because you've been watching a show, it looks like a show, which is what you expect. Just like when you go out your door, you expect it to look like life, but sometimes life starts to look like a show, and that just lets you know you're approaching some kind of crescendo, you know.
Well, that's the determinism thing. The question is, so did he make a choice before things deteriorated in that fashion that changed like his
Dale Cooper or David Lynch?
Dale, the detective, right?
Yeah, it was a conscious well, it's unclear if it's him acting, if things are reacting to his actions or if forces are acting on him.
So he's making a choice.
Doesn't the real him get stuck in the Black Lodge or something like that?
At the end of season 2,
it's like a doppelganger.
And there's an evil doppelganger of him that comes out, Mr. C. That's like
that's his dark side or his shadow, most likely.
Right. Everyone and the way it travels to our realm, by the way, is through electricity. Literally comes out of a socket in the wall, and electricity is how our thoughts travel. So David Lynch also has a theory out prior to Twin Peaks that like consciousness can travel on telephone wires and everything, just like free consciousness. It's like, you built a highway for me. Sweet. Now I'll go in here and easily go. Oh, where do I go? I go into your house. I go into your ear. Like just free electric spirits out there, and now jump in these lines and go directly into our houses and our heads and stuff, like right up this wire.
Right. I mean, it's also what's like when Peggy Sue got married, they go to the lodge, and a big part of the lodge is that they can like the consciousness goes through the lodge. It's like the tabernacle of the lodge is a place that like spirit can jump before we build even really small versions of them. Because what's the difference between a temple and like a micro temple, inside of like a chip at this point? Like there are conduits for like places to jump, but also two things. One is the Elon Musk thing. I wanted to ask Pink Trip.
That, by the
way. I want to ask Pink Trip why, like, so because you say you don't understand, but like you're doing it. So like, what is it that you're doing? Like, why do you love what you do? And what is it? Because when I watch your videos, I see the truth in people. That's one of the reasons I like sought your videos out.
I don't know, dude. Yeah, I go off of feeling and just like what seems right and what doesn't seem right.
But what are you doing?
If I try to put too much thought into it, Well, I mean, there's the technical aspect of how to create a cut like that, but then when you're talking about the final touches, like what I wanted to be, if I try to think about it too much, that kind of ruins it.
Do you think
feel
you
like
might be
you're pulling-
channeling it from sources, beyond yourself, beyond the five senses?
I mean, that's the whole question about creativity. Where does it come
Do you
from?
think you're detecting actual subtext, or is it purely?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that probably, but there's the the comedic joke, but then the end feeling of like the emotional impact or the feeling. I guess it's hard to put into words, but the feeling you get, like when you listen to a certain song, you get a certain feeling from that song, right? You understand what I'm saying, Seth? You write music,
So
it's like that, like I'm going off a feeling. I'm not like it's got to feel right and timing right, and
it's exactly to me like your art style.
Like a painting.
It reminds me of like I mean it's the best way, like a confused child who's never, like myself when I was little and I watched Ace Ventura and I didn't understand it was right or wrong or what was weird about it. Like it's like that crossed with AI, because AI to me is like it knows everything but doesn't understand why or the meaning or anything like that, and it's constantly being asked for us to find our meaning or our values in some kind of a string of content. And like,
what's the meaning? What you said? My shit has meaning. What's the meaning of my Elon Musk video?
Truth. It's the most truth.
What's the truth?
You've taken out, and you do this with all your videos. You've taken out all of the intentions, because the road to hell is paved with intentions, and you're just putting in the actual practice. Right now. It's the actual praxis. It's the praxis of the event. So it's like, this is what really is happening, and everything else is what they wanted you to think was happening. But really, like the Gnostic, so like the wise truth is that these are beings, and like this is the way that they are, and they're not like this way because they're evil, but it's just because this potential exists. Like like sometimes you show them in like kind of Krishna wicked circumstances, but that's a playful way because it's the opposition to the way that they are presenting themselves. So it's just
like the inner dialogue, like the shadow self.
It's the integration of all of the multiple dimensions.
Yeah, we're more than the single individual we think we are consciously. There's the conscious self, unconscious, multiple layers. And
I'm glad you look so deep into it, because at the end of the day, it's just a video of Joe Rogan eating a pizza with cum on it. That's the
to the superficial level. I think Starship Troopers is probably just a movie about killing bugs, but that is also why Elon Musk named his AI system Grok.
That came up.
That's John Heinlein, by the way. Shout out to Heinlein again.
There's something beautiful about that movie, though. See, that's the thing. There's some things that you can't put into words, and like Starship Troopers is one of those. On the surface, you go, "Oh, this is just a cheesy,
4 years before.
cheesy yada yada yada." But when you watch that movie, you get a feeling of like there's something unique here. Like there's art to it. It's like looking at a good painting. You're like, I don't know why I like this painting, but I like it.
Dude, I knew immediately. This is a little child. I watched this movie like, this is so deep and it's so brilliant. Because if it was any deeper superficially, no one would watch it. So if you just make this movie, it's got boobs, it's got bugs. It's so brilliant.
I don't think you could have gotten that from Paul Vanderhoeven until after Twin Peaks. I don't think you would have got something that weird. That's it's a serious subject, war, sci-fi, but somehow it's like this like
insects. Lesser forms of life.
Teen high school drama, like it's like a mashup of like genres that don't make any sense. So that one really stood out too. That's why that's a cult favorite. He's a great director too. RoboCop, Showgirls, and Starship Troopers. I mean, talk about moving the needle on culture.
When did this game StarCraft come out from Blizzard? The year
early 2000s, I think.
88. I think it was 88. So it's a year after.
No,
that'd be impossible.
No, not StarCraft. Warcraft, the original Warcraft, possibly, but StarCraft was like the way after all the Warcraft.
Playing at the same time period.
Oh, okay.
I think it was late 90s, dude.
You connect StarCraft. Yeah. How are you connecting StarCraft to Twin Peaks?
No, to Troopers, Starship Troopers.
Oh,
the Zerg, you got the Zerg, the Terran.
That works.
And that's like an amazing treatise on like civics, basically, like reintroducing like
all the soldiers were convicts in that game, which is funny about the Wagner group.
Oh, I was talking about Starship Troopers. I have no idea what happens in that game, but it's nice to know there's parallels there too.
Yeah, Mimi Man said if you haven't seen Twin Peaks, start with the movie. And he's right. Fire Walk with Me.
Yes.
And I totally disagree, man. I totally disagree.
I don't know. That's where I started, and I was with my cousin. We'd get high as fuck and watch that movie. And I
think you got to take the ride because it's intentionally confusing.
But isn't that the beginning? Like that tells the whole story.
Well, yeah, but that's like telling people they
like,
should watch Phantom Menace before A New Hope.
Well, I mean, you should watch it in the you should watch it in the order that the director wants you to watch it.
Yeah.
Depends on what kind of kid you're dealing with, I guess, is the thing. Yeah.
But the movie is great. It's an amazing movie. I mean, the anticipation
the
for
show's
that movie,
better, but movie's good.
There was like internet mazes before the internet for Twin Peaks. I had like Laura Palmer's Diary, and then you could get the lost tapes of Dale Cooper and stuff. Yeah. And there was like all kinds of this was like before really forums or anything. People used to print out the fatalities from Mortal Kombat on paper and pass them around. And it was the same thing with Twin Peaks. People would actually have like printed out documents about theories and stuff. And
they had such a good
conventions at Comic-Con and stuff like that, you know.
It seems they had to make a movie.
Go ahead, guys.
No, you first.
Well, I just remember that one scene. Like I watched that movie high as fuck. I don't think there's any way you can watch that movie. And the one scene where the guy with the one arm is sitting in his car, just revving the fucking car, screaming about. I forgot what he was screaming, but just that scene right there, like that's like art, dude. Like that scene is not just let's just tell a story. The guy's trying to warn her. It's like no, like the way he films it, the revving, the building of the sound where the sound just gets louder and louder and louder. I mean, I love it, man.
It's maddening,
like, I don't even have to know like what the fuck's going on. It's just I can.
Yeah, and at the same time, and contemporarily, they were doing really charming parodies of this on Saturday Night Live. They had the Log Lady. They had like they had like all of it was like a beloved part of the culture, even though it was like this esoteric and like strange, you know.
I love that we're talking about Twin Peaks because I found something I know something.
They don't want people looking deeper into it though. That's why they make fun of it. Honestly,
like everybody on a subconscious level, you know,
well,
it's like
they want it to stay at a superficial level of analysis,
right?
Yeah, I think Ben's right. They actually made it sillier on purpose. They're like, "Hey, it's a silly show," and that way, unless you're like, "Wait, no, I see this. This is really what's happening." Then you're just like, "Okay, yeah, it's a weird, silly show." I think it was the perfect way to kind of hide it instead of saying this is, quirky, a horror. If it's a horror film, it's bad. But if it's quirky, trend. It's a quirky show.
Yeah, the music was really quirky too. Like I loved the soundtrack of it. Like it's just I don't know. I think it's a work of art, dude. The way they incorporate the characters, the way the characters are just the characters draw you in because they're so fucking just out there. It's not like anything you've seen before. We need more of this shit now because every time I watch a movie, it's like 10 minutes in, I'm like, I know exactly what's going to happen in this movie. 10 minutes into it, it's following the same formula.
Bankrupt.
I've seen 100 times. With David Lynch, you don't know. You just sit back and go for a ride, you know?
Buckle up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, when the best part for people like thinking people, the best part of life is like a clue to a mystery. Like, oh my God, I've got a clue to a mystery. I'm so interested to try to understand more about this. And when at the same time, it's a piece of art that's, masterfully executed, it gives you confidence that you can find answers, not only questions, because sci-fi is always about answers. Oh my God, what happened? The spaceship went to another dimension. What always happens in the ending? Machine gun battle. You know what I mean? They can't give you an answer. They only have questions. But when it's so skillfully presented artistically like that, you're like, this guy might actually have some answers to these amazing questions about what's going on. And then there are some answers to, you actually get kind of some answers that exist out there in Hermetic teachings and other stuff, but it just kind of connects it to the real world when you see these characters living
There's a lot of stuff. It's like, first off, the Black Lodge, right? So like the idea of the lodges, you were saying there's like 4 of them for the cardinal directions, isn't that right? There's a red, white, black.
The only 2 you ever see are the black one and the white one, but there's like a Native American kind of like symbol that they show that indicates there might be something to left and right.
There's a red and a green, and I mean, like, you just haven't heard about it yet. But then there's the idea of the Black Lodge is really important to Aleister Crowley's Moonchild, 1920. Book. So like they use the Black Lodge for the Moonchild ritual, and I think it's inferred, right? Because the FBI is going to the.
He has to go find it on a full moon in a circle of 12 sycamore trees. That's when the curtain opens. Literally, a veil opens, and he walks in like a curtain just opens in the air.
It's a gateway,
right? Yeah, I mean,
it's a dimensional gate.
The White Lodge to me is interesting though, because I think of like Lucis Trust, Alice Bailey, and that kind of thing. So they're kind of talking about like in America. I mean, maybe not, but like the way I always envision it is like you've got like these 2 evils in between, like the straight and narrow, which are like the dark and the light. Like the super dark and the super light, and they're both a little too extreme to this. Because it sounds. I mean, I'm not saying this is the right or the correct thing, but it sounds like a perspective of balance.
It is about light and dark balance because in episode 8 of the Comeback at Twin Peaks, you see the atomic bomb test, and that opens up a interdimensional rip, and there's a primeval being called Lucy that like vomits out all the darkness that's like been waiting for that moment. And when the giant basically he's in his zone and he's watching this take place, this evil be vomited into Earth, and he releases the soul of Laura Palmer as like a golden light to go and combat it. So like both of them, like there has to be an opposite. When that strong evil came, they created Laura Palmer. Like her soul already existed.
And there's more on that. I wish we're gonna have to talk to Eric Dilly because he had some stuff on that too. But where was I'm gonna call you Billy. Billy says, what movie did they reference? We're actually talking about the book for a second, Moonchild, right? So in the TV series and movie, when they have Twin Peaks, they talk about the lodge, the Black Lodge, and the Black Lodge is featured in the Moonchild, which is a Aleister Crowley book, right? That's what it's not a movie exactly, but
can we just shout out to how hot Sherilyn Fenn was back then in the 90s? I mean, look it up if you don't know.
Yeah, and Joan too. Remember Joan? That was one of the first hot Asian ladies on TV.
No, you got to look at her.
I'm doing it now. I'm trying. Yeah, it's pretty stunning and brave, but like when it meant it, yeah, it's cool. I don't know. Actually, blue eyes. I'll take it now. She's cool. I don't know. Whatever. So then,
what's going on in your head right now, Andreas?
I was in the kids' library again. I'm sorry. Where's the Ganesh Republican Convention? No. Okay, Laura Palmer. If you get rid of the vowels, right? If you get rid of the vowels to like Laura Yahweh. Palmer, you get like 290. Okay. 11. And so what I find interesting about that, what I find earlier, Christ, 1010, Archer, Crack the Code. There was a bunch of them I saw earlier.
I think Christ would be the relevant one for sure.
Well, and Yaldabaoth, see, because that was also kind of funny. I like Yaldabaoth, like in the simple gematria. And then so if you go for Laura Palmer in full value, including the vowels, you got excellent catastrophe keyhole. What was the one I saw that was good?
What was that? Satan look at me.
Satan look at me. That's pretty. That's it right there. Satan.
Yeah. There was one earlier in another version of this. I found with Laura Palmer. Oh, okay. I just closed it without vowels. It's also I cracked the code. I cracked the code. Really? Is Laura Palmer without vowels in simple Jewish gematria, and I found that really interesting because it's like they created this thing that they never find the answer to. That's the whole point of everything. There is like you're not finding the answer. You're searching, and like searching is constantly giving you more information, but information is only useful for you to act, and you're acting in strange behavior. So it's like it's a perfect kind of chaos, and then you can look at it either like these people are possessed spiritually, or this is just mental, panpsychism. But this is like that's the kind of thing you would have to question if you came across a village of people that were, dying of LSD ergot poisoning in the wheat in the 15th century. You'd be like, is this science? Is this demons? What is the reason these people are crazy? So it seems like it's that kind of approach. Like, what are we looking at? And then how do we look at it? I don't know. I like that about it, especially.
Maybe the journey is more important than the destination.
Yeah. Dude, we should expect more odd behavior as we advance more technologically.
Did anybody check out the Laura Palmer diary? Published. You know this? God, okay. So I only just recently found out this thing existed.
That's what I was trying to tell you about. We used to print this stuff out and pass it around because it was expensive to buy it. And they had the lost tapes of Dale Cooper. Gotcha. There was like parts where like cut out and he's like saying certain reports like.
So like Blair Witch Project did that to me. I was convinced. Like I was like 10 years old, and Blair Witch Project, the website, and they're like, I was like printing stuff out at the school library and stuff like that. Yeah. Dude, Ben and I lived literally where they shot the Blair Witch Project for like a year and didn't even really notice until after. Like, oh yeah, this is exactly Germantown where they did that. But yeah, I was checking out the listening to what inside the trees are souls. I think souls that grow and change inside each leaf. So this is crazy. Like, so the writers behind the show were putting out even weirder, more esoteric stuff that they couldn't put on the TV show, which is seeding.
They toned it down.
But the book then is it's the compass, it's the what's that, like the key ring from
and this is all written by Mark Frost,
decoder?
By the way.
The decoder ring.
David Lynch. This is Mark Frost.
Right.
Who gets totally cut out of the equation,
Let's take a moment. Let's take a moment. Yeah. So talk about Mark Frost because he's doing the writing. He's coming up with the ideas, and he's.
I mean, if you look at his IMDb, he's a pretty prolific, influential writer.
Look at his bio. Where was he from, like birth all the way up to when he got into the show business?
Born in Brooklyn, early life Brooklyn.
Mainly connections to other people.
Raised in Los Angeles, spent his adolescence in Minnesota. I knew it. I always have a vibe. I can always tell.
There you go.
Yeah, as a high school student,
Melon.
he spent 2 years on internship program at Guthrie Theater. Career NBC, Hill Street Blues, then ABC Twin Peaks. It looks like is that it? Let's go. We could go to IMDb.
It's not anything extremely outrageous. But,
well, not the Wikipedia page. What do you expect? But he did do Fantastic Four, the 2005 Fantastic Four movie.
I thought he did more, honestly.
Still, the fact that he did that, actually,
that's like an elemental thing too, huh?
Yeah, I think that was all right. I'll take anything related to Silver Surfer.
Really, that's it, huh?
I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure Mark Frost did a lot, but to me, David Lynch is the key guy whose vision. It's his vision. Like he took the story, he took what was written, and he put his vision into it.
No, you're right.
But Mark Frost, I wonder if Mark Frost had given it to a different director, what would it look like?
I wonder who brought what part of because like back we're talking, how many people know about all this, all the esoteric stuff that underlies this. So I wonder if it was like a combination of the two of their knowledge. You know?
I could definitely see David Lynch putting like little.
Because you couldn't tell someone to write in that direction if they didn't understand it. It could be like, all right, I need you to write about, this Black Lodge and evil spirits and, like people are acting this way. Like who could, most writers would just be like, I don't get it,
Yeah.
Well, his dad is Warren Frost. Okay. The guy who was in Matlock and Seinfeld.
Oh shoot, really?
Yeah. So, okay. So he grew up in the industry. He was in Psycho 4 and Stan. So he's growing up around some crazy stuff. Yeah. Was in World War II. Like his dad, like he's around.
He's got what's Slaughterhouse?
Small role in Slaughterhouse 5, which was filmed.
He's already into some horror.
That's dystopian. That's old school dystopian.
Yeah, and Wendy Shaw's father, Richard Shaw, is in this movie as well. Wendy Shaw was there the entire production of the Slaughterhouse 5 movie, and it was very strange. She said. Yeah, seems like there's a thing there.
Was that a war movie? What was that about?
Slaughterhouse 5 is like based on the Kurt Vonnegut book. It's about a time traveler guy.
Oh, okay. I'm way off.
Well, no, it's also about war, and they go to Dresden, and you get to see Dresden get destroyed.
Yeah. If you know your history, Dresden was like one of the first major demonic summoning rituals of the Allied powers.
Travis says he used to skip school to watch Matlock, which is why he's smart, I think, probably.
And Dresden was the place that pretty much got wiped off the map by the U.S.
500,000 people. Oh, yeah. It's so sadistic what they did. They had one wave of bombers come in and drop hundreds of tons of bombs, and then they waited for all the help to come in from surrounding cities to, medical help to come in and save the survivors, people suffering from horrible burns, and then they bombed them again, like hours later. So they killed everyone.
Right.
Intentionally. Well, just like they firebombed Tokyo, it's the same concept.
Yeah. I was gonna say though, with like the Laura Palmer diary, like it's interesting because like I want to feed that now through like the code word things because everything's a code. The cat's name is Jupiter, so you got Bastet, and like the Jupiter from the Saturn.
That's also Cronus.
Yeah, but the feminization because the
there
idea
was Saturn
of, like,
in the Red Lodge. You saw that one of the props was a little Saturn thing. I never noticed that before.
There's no way they're not into Saturn. Like that's
of course.
But then her horse, behold a pale horse named Troy, right? She got in the tree.
There's a white horse.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's white, but it's pale, right? Because I think the other thing is a pink. It could be like a flesh tone horse. I don't know if you're allowed to say that now. Crayola flesh tone. And like the trees, just like the new and smaller mouth. And
there's a lot about nature too, because he believed that nature was some kind of phenomenon that was neither good or evil. It just goes about its business and does its things.
There's a lot about Laura Palmer's sexuality in this too. Like she's coming into her age, and so they're making it into this whole like thing about
she's experimenting.
Well, but like, what does it represent that Laura Palmer is the like servitor, the chaos servitor?
It's really important. Before she can be murdered, she has to accept a ring. With this ring, ID wed, and she's binding the forces of good and evil together. And that's how she gets stuck in the lodge.
Yeah, but the normie take on all that is that she's just a woman being R-worded by her father every night, and this is how she's dealing with the trauma. And I think that was like the first season was like just normal, like this is a woman being abused by her father, and
well,
and like a lot of
this,
I don't know. The very
Andy's
first
not here because
the first scene of the first episode is like a 90-second shot of telephone wires and a buzzing sound. So I think it was pretty strange. Right.
What was her father's occupation before he went insane and had a possession incident? Was he a salesman or something in the
I have
in the
no
first
idea.
one?
I think I've seen him in an office freaking out like a lawyer. I think he was a lawyer.
Shout out to Deep Share
Okay.
Podcast, Andy, for Doc
So-
Saga. If we're going to talk about our
Oh, yeah.
stories and the whole mythology there, like it seems like the Bach
wow,
Saga is now Twin Peaks. I didn't even ever think of that, but there it is.
Tree of Life. There you go.
You know, it's revealed that he didn't kill her though. It was her mother that killed her.
In the new one?
She was actually inhabited by the spirit, the original primeval spirit. Lucy came into Laura Palmer's mother. It was actually her.
Well, that's interesting. It swaps because I think the original it was definitely her dad.
Well, yeah, but it's revealed that
Isn't Fire Walk with Me?
It revealed that it wasn't really her dad, and that the mother took the mother did it. The father took the plan essentially.
So
that's what is the deal with Lucy? Who is Lucy? This primordial demon? Is this Isis? Lilith? Is
Lilith? It is Lilith. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's Lucy. Lucy is Lilith. I forget why it's called Lucy, but it's somewhere in the official Twin Peaks like canon. It is revealed that it's Lilith, but now I don't remember totally.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah,
but it is Lilith. Yeah, try to type in Lilith Twin Peaks or just
what was the connection? 8. What was the connection to Laura Palmer's mother? Because I kind of remember that, but I don't.
Was that the new one?
It's only revealed in the newer seasons that she's inhabited by the
Bob.
Right. It's
no, not Bob.
But isn't the father inhabited by Bob?
Yes. Isn't the mother is inhabited by the Bob's boss.
Okay, so
revealed in a later
going up the food chain then, because obviously demons, they have their own masters. They don't have total free will.
I don't think that. Man, now I'm going out of my depth. I need to.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, major.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it's interesting though, this idea of Lilith, and because again, every single time you find out when they lay down a little piece of what it really is, like, oh yeah, it's Lilith. It's something Gnostic. It's some kind of Gnostic thing, which really says David Lynch is super into Gnosticism.
No image came up for that, by the way.
I didn't see anything that was safe to show.
Did you try Lucy?
I'll do. What do you want to do? Twin Peaks Lucy?
Twin Peaks Lucy. Twin Peaks Lilith. Twin Peaks. Episode 8.
When I did Twin Peaks, this is when Twin Peaks Lucy.
Oh, so it's not Lucy then. It must be. Is it Lilith? Shoot, it's Lily. Try Lily.
Lily.
Ah, shoot.
Demon Lady. I don't know.
Oh, did you see the black and white? That was episode 8.
It is.
That's not her though. That's the giant's wife.
Is this what's her name?
Do they show her? Or is she more like a concept for the imagination to put?
Oh, they show her.
Okay.
She's disgusting looking. She's like a black thing actually black, like coal black thing floating in a void.
Have y'all looked into the what is that new game that came out? Diablo.
Oh, dude, you know what I thought? I'm so confused. Is this Amanda Palmer? Is this Amanda Palmer in Twin Peaks? Like talking to Sarah Palmer? Is that what's going on? Is that real?
Laura Palmer?
No, Amanda Palmer, the musician who did the Dresden Dolls. Dresden. When I got my abortion. You don't know it's Amanda Palmer? You're not woke enough. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you gotta
is that a cameo?
She has a song called Oasis, Amanda Palmer, which is all about how she was R-worded, as you say, at a party. And then after that party, she went to get her abortion. But
that's
it's okay.
What it's about, pretty
much. It's okay because she sent a letter to Oasis in the mail. And Oasis sent back photographs and autographs and everything.
With the crucifix.
It's going to be okay.
Did y'all see that?
Oh, yeah. That's because the Christians are against abortion and they're making her abortion really uncomfortable, outside yelling and stuff like that. So Amanda Palmer looking at Laura Palmer from the Dresden Dolls. There's just
that's the scene where they summon, the Christ consciousness or whatever and put it into Laura Palmer.
What the freak, man? That's a lot, dude.
That's not even the craziest. There's an even crazier episode after that when a guy called the Horseman shows up.
Of course,
just sit back and enjoy the ride.
I wish I could remember what the hell the name of the
Horseman.
This will help a lot of autistic kids watch the show.
To search for
Mark. They're going to be more into it.
They might get autistic after watching.
I mean, to be honest. You should watch it, and I don't know about you guys, but I suggest definitely if you smoke weed to smoke some weed before you watch it.
I can't smoke anymore,
because
future.
But if you're not a doctor, you shouldn't take his advice or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. Twin Peaks, Pale Horse, though, right? That's real. And they kind of, or people want to say it's suggested that it has to do with drugs. And I always like to avoid the drug references, but it could be a William Burroughs thing.
The pale horse that Laura Palmer's
I think it's
mother
just freaking obviously behold a pale horse, like the CIA, right?
So Laura Palmer's mother sees that before she gets possessed by Lucy or Lilith or whatever the hell it's called. That is the rider's death, but she's not seeing the rider. She's just seeing the horse. But that is the arrival of death that came through the rift when we did the atomic bomb test. That's why she's seeing the pale horse.
Right. And
what's the fight between good and evil, you know?
Or the balance between good and evil.
The balance.
What's the deal? Death, pale horse, last vision. There's like 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
You'd have to read the Bible. I don't really know.
You have to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Okay, but there's 4 horses: a white horse, a red horse,
famine, and death.
The first.
It's all Revelation stuff. My understanding.
There's the first horse is white. The second horse is red. The third horse is black.
The last one's death or something.
But the pale horse isn't white. Right,
no,
there's a white horse, a red horse, and a pale horse.
Okay,
so the pale horse is probably peach.
Yeah, but what's different? What's different between white and pale?
That's what I'm saying. It's not white.
Well, it's not a mixture. It's a you know.
No, it's basically they're saying brown. I mean, if you notice brown.
I'm white and I'm pale. That's the same thing.
Yeah, but what if
you're not actually white?
Though, if you had kids with someone who wasn't, then
Camarillo.
You're right. Technically not white.
If you look at a Camarillo horse, it looks white up until you get close enough and you realize it's actually pink.
Where did that breed come from? Do you know geographically?
Well, we spent.
Behold, a pink horse coming.
We brought an Arabic horse.
I know Arabic horses. Aren't they black?
That's like
though?
The LGBT.
It's very rare. It's a very rare breed. It took a lot of work.
It's recessive, just like blonde hair, blue eyes. Probably.
That's why. Yeah, wow, it took so much effort.
That's a good looking horse. Yeah, that's like a Swedish horse.
No, it's a Camarillo horse. All the Camarillo horses from Ventura. Like it's a specific breed.
There's a lot of blondes in Ventura too.
We did our best. But yeah, so I found that interesting because we think of the white horse as the pale horse, and it's clearly not the pale horse. There's a black and a white horse.
That's true.
And then there's a red horse and a pale horse. So if there's a red horse, and the distinction between the pale horse and the red horse is that one's red and the other's pale.
It's also a mirror for the lodge system.
It wouldn't be green. It's probably just pink. You know, it's a pale.
Albert Pike actually. Albert Pike breaks down like esoterically what all the colors of the horses mean. In the Bible, there's plague, pestilence, famine, but there's a reason for the colors of the horses and where they relate to different nations and stuff like that.
Forces of chaos. By the way, you'll know about his prediction about how the last war goes before the reset.
But here's the definition of pale. If something is pale, it is very light in color or almost white.
Yeah.
Eggshell.
That's a painting of.
So probably light in color. I mean, if there's already a white one, then I was going to say the opposite is it has to be something different than the white horse. If there's already a white horse being distinction made, so it's probable that it's like, you know, it's pale, totally it's pink or peach.
There's a lot of weird vocabulary choices in the Bible by modern standards, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting though. Okay, well, here's the picture of what I'm seeing. 3 horses here, basically 1, 2, 3.
The riders, who do they represent?
The 4 horsemen?
Yeah, I mean,
well, actually, look, you got
as people. You mean, or just
the Greek with all the snakes? What was her name?
Medusa.
Medusa. You have Medusa. You have death. You had another. I don't know who the.
So in John's Revelation, perhaps invoking pestilence or the Antichrist, this is the white horse. The second horse carries a sword and rides a red horse, and is the creator of civil war, conflict, and strife.
Yeah.
The third is a food merchant who rides a black horse, symbolizing famine, and carries the scales.
Is that the scales of justice?
Probably also for like paying for
judgment.
Food. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, justice. The fourth and final horse is
For
pale.
judgments.
Upon it rides death, accompanied by Hades.
Yeah, God of hell.
So where'd that go? That picture I had.
Death is really just a servant for Hades. Hades is the prime boss in that place. So
interesting.
Yep.
So I mean,
she's also carrying. She has fire.
But is there is there kind of this idea like death and these characters are death and justice and these things? These are all
gods. These are pagan gods.
One of them kind of looks like Hillary Clinton.
I did notice that. I was thinking Whore of Babylon, which is the Moonchild ritual.
I mean, in the Bible, this is all just like a prophetic vision, you know, of like bad times coming.
But I see the four corners of the earth kind of vibe, and you've got these four stations that are maybe, you know, the good witch of the north and kind of thing, and they're not bad. Like death is completion. It's like Odin.
Death is a natural
Shiva.
process, so
It's
things
completion.
can be fertilized, and new life can be born.
It's finishing stuff. Finishing stuff is good, and then there's also justice. Like if you're paying for things, but you're getting paid, then that's good, right? Like so, like economy,
Karma,
or karma, or you know, positive reciprocity. Right, this is good. So these are not bad things. The problem is when they're riding at you on horseback trying to destroy the entire world at once. Okay, so maybe that's more of the, I don't know. It seems that also seems interesting about the idea of the apocalypse, is that they're not necessarily evil things, but that they're coming. Like there comes a time when you're being judged also all at once for everything at once.
It's the inevitability of all the choices of everyone collectively.
Hillary Clinton totally looks like that. It's so weird.
It does really look like her.
Dude, she's even making that face she does where she goes, whoa, 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 whoa.
I mean, she wishes her hair had natural waves like that, though.
You're not supposed to look at that.
The guy next to her does look like a Viking Trump.
Oh, dude, what are you doing right now? Like, you're so good at synchronicity.
Come on. That looks like General Milley.
It looks like Trump if he was like steroids.
Or not General Milley, who's the guy that lied under oath? CIA, John Brennan. That's like John Brennan.
It's enough alike for the needs of my metaphor. I'll tell you what. Like the fact that even exists that way, it just feels like it's just a dynamic.
When was that
made me very short. I'm much taller. My horse is very tall.
I don't know where that painting
intentionally made me short.
Let's see here. That
painting.
It's
the best horse ever.
Google image search.
Many people say.
Hold on. Let me see what I can find here.
I'm interested to know what decade it was painted. That's all.
Let's see. I mean, lion array, pale horse. I have no
Laura
idea.
Palmer, not Sarah Palmer, right? I mean, people keep.
Yeah,
you said Sarah Palmer.
There's a bunch of different Palmer. Amanda.
I think her mother might be.
There's Amanda Palmer. There's Sarah.
We're talking
Palmer.
about in the show, like
there's
main,
Sarah Palmer from the
Palmer.
Halo game, and then there's Laura Palmer, which is the gematria for like I've cracked the code. Yes.
But Laura Palmer's mom definitely has a first name too. I just can't tell you what it is right now. I think it might be Sarah. Actually,
not until you get initiated into the Black Lodge, you can't tell you. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is. I feel like that's.
Oh yeah, I think he's talking about her mom. So yeah, her mom must be Sarah Palmer, right?
Oh, there we go. Sarah Palmer had a vision of a white horse in Beverly Cooper.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, see, I knew it. There's like a Sarah is Amanda, and then Amanda's not really related to the show, but that's okay. Red Room. What else have we got? Do you guys want to keep calling about Twin Peaks?
Do you know the ending of the ending of the final episode of Twin Peaks, just in case anyone wants full spoilers to how it actually ends? Dale Cooper gets Laura Palmer basically back in time to right before her mother gets possessed by Lilith or whatever it is, and now that like that Laura Palmer understands and like they understand everything that happened, she basically screams and blows out all the power, so like there's no electricity going into the house.
So do you mean
then
she corrects
that erases her death retroactively, and her body
so
disappears from the riverbank, and none of it ever happened. And Dale is permanently gone from the world too.
You can fracture time and then rebuild it in a different direction at a point. If you shoot,
I don't know exactly what that means, but those are the events that unfold.
How did we never get to Denise? I feel like that's the one that really come on, right?
Was that her friend?
David Duchovny as the like,
oh wow, I forgot this.
The androgynous. I mean, the X-File androgynous hermeticism.
I did not know
Denise.
this before.
Oh,
yeah,
come
totally
on! What? Denise, this is I think one of my earliest memories of Twin Peaks. Like, are you kidding me? They got a crossover with the X-Files. I felt like
before the X-Files.
Was it? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I watched it later, so that's probably why. But just to me, just I couldn't help but notice that. And
that's
just
like 20 years old there.
There's could be, yeah. But like the idea of like the idea of like the gender hermeticism, and that we're this
Baphomet too.
Is there any Baphomet in Twin Peaks? I wonder.
I'd say the whole thing is about Baphomet, but
right. But if they had like a picture of him, I wouldn't be surprised ever. But yeah, go ahead. Go explain what you mean. Why the whole thing's about Baphomet?
Baphomet's androgynous. It doesn't have a form that's male or female like in our dimension.
Right, and also
a different plane.
It's also like
man boobs.
It's the opposite of Pan. Pan's got like an animal bottom and a human top, right? And this is sort of the more like the the beast is.
Does he
the
always
primary.
have a Caduceus as well?
Yeah, and he said,
"Wow, I'm rusty here."
Right, but it's also I don't know if it's he or she or they. I think is like the question.
We know from the Esoteric
they.
Eddie episode that you did that's just one artist's
Yes.
conception that became very popular.
Yeah, true. And there's also the white Baphomet. Esoteric Eddie brought up this idea of the white Baphomet idea, although you don't see enough pictures of that necessarily. But yeah, Baphomet's not necessarily supposed to be this evil thing, and it might be associated with Eris and Discordia, right? It might have to do with just the inversion of Pan and Eris and Discordia. What do you think? Do you think, I mean, Eris and Discordia makes sense because Discord, the idea that everything is chaotic, that everything's disjointed, that nothing makes sense, that we're coming into like Fright and Shrek. Right. I mean, Discordia seems the function of the show.
Right. That's definitely a major theme. We were talking
groundbreaking
about a mythical animal called a Yale once. Like Yale College gets its name from this thing.
Really?
I'm pulling it up.
Yeah.
Hold on. The Yale mythical creature. I always forget about this.
On another show.
Yeah, the Yale is this crazy looking thing. I keep waiting for Ubuntu to have like the Y edition. Keep writing them. They need to do Yale. It should be like the Yale.
They used to have really good search features.
No, but Ubuntu should just like every year they have a new, or every edition they have a new animal.
What's so good about that animal? Just like a funky deer? Does it have magic powers?
No, it doesn't exist. It's It's a mythology.
Body of an antelope, lion's tail, head with swiveling horns.
Of the lion, quite frankly.
No, it isn't. But I think it's because it's like a cat in some ways. Like it has cat. It has like cat-like.
So the word means ibex in Hebrew.
Right. I mean these things, and so the Yale. Yale's named after this mythical creature, for sure.
Yeah. Melissa had a funny comment.
The cousin of Baphomet, probably.
Yeah.
She was talking about a friend of hers playing a dead body, and like how are you supposed to sit there and just hold your breath? I think she's referencing Laura Palmer, like when she was. If you watch a lot of the movies, you'll see them breathing. The dead bodies are always breathing. Just pay attention. It's hard to notice, but they're breathing. Yeah, they're breathing.
I notice every time. This is unrelated. Hong Kong is selling snake pizza. That's pretty cool.
No, it's not.
You just need to start eating more. It's better to eat reptilians than for reptilians to eat you, Mark. You got to learn.
I'd rather not eat things that are venomous and can kill me if I step on them.
I don't want nothing to do with snakes, and that includes eating them.
No.
Okay, how about Twin Peaks and aliens? Do you guys feel like
there's an alien theme in it, but they don't make it a specifically alien. It's just unknown.
They kind of explicitly hint at aliens being basically entities. It's entities. Yeah. Like the owls are not
interdimensional
watchers.
One of the big questions was the owls. One of the big mysteries from season 1 was the owls are not what they seem.
Mm-hmm.
And most people took that to mean aliens because since the movie Communion, there's that drawing of aliens. There's a huge connection between the big eyes of owls and gray aliens.
It's a mental game. You see what you want to see.
So it's strongly inferring that there's no aliens, only entities.
Or the owls could be just people watching.
Yeah. Ours are considered to be a magical entity as well. They're extremely intelligent. Probably the most intelligent bird species that we know of.
The only bird that flies silently, makes no noise when it flies.
It's a hunter. It's an apex predator too.
Isn't there like an episode where there's like a storm? I keep trying to remember. Like there's one
at night.
There's like a major storm and like there's like a flood that's like coming to Twin Peaks or something like that. And I think that also is interesting because this idea of like the if we're talking about the Gnostic influence on Twin Peaks, this idea that they're constantly doing wrong, and so like something.
It's a macrocosmic force in nature that's coming in to wipe the slate clean.
I totally agree with that.
It seems like
they manifested that. Yeah, I mean,
it's like the peak of how
that's
bad.
That's why it is so much about nature. There's so many shots, just silent shots, extended shots of waterfalls. What is a waterfall? It's nature creating electricity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the whole theory is it's us. They're originally bringing in the technology of electricity allowed all these what we call demons, or good and bad, to travel around freely to exactly where we are. The wires go directly to us.
Dude, also
we don't
the
even
fireplace.
know what electrons are, by the way.
The fireplace.
Ask a physicist what an electron is. He can't tell you.
We don't know what electricity is.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, we're
that's
able to
that's
harness
another
it, but we
thing.
don't. We have no idea
Parts,
what it is.
aspects of the force, not the total.
Machine Gun Kelly said, "All I know is I don't know nothing." But the fireplace sequences. Okay, so
Fire's
sitting.
electrical too, by the
Machine
way.
Gun Kelly said that. No,
Silence.
people way before Machine
There you
Gun
go.
Kelly said that, dude.
I don't
Fuck
know.
Machine Gun Kelly. Yeah, well, I mean, I can go back to that's actually a famous quote by like a philosopher.
Socrates. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess
like,
they say
he's
technically
not famous
all
anymore.
energy is nuclear energy because it's all coming from suns, right?
Fucking
Like solar
give it
energy,
Machine
but
Gun
like
Kelly credit for Socrates.
wind
What the
energy,
fuck?
the sun makes the wind blow. Hydro energy, the sun makes the water flow. So it's like everything is coming from a nuclear
It
reaction.
takes place in the Pacific Northwest too, right?
All right, hear me out. I'm gonna walk
Understood.
through some like wild nonsense. So first off, thinking about Babylon, this whole idea that all society ends in a flood, starts in a flood, and so we have different sons of Noah that So you got the Manu version of this, right? I'm going with the Indian version of the story. I like it better, but it's similar. They get in this boat, they have this giant fish, they have to survive, etc. It's not like super important.
What real quick, what is that fish? Is that like helping guide them? Is it a benevolent?
They lasso it and it pulls them to shore.
Okay, so
I'm gonna get Noel at some point to go way deeper in on the Manu
I would love to know
deluge
about
myth because I've been really it's pretty interesting like in general.
You
But
can tell that fish is helping out.
But Manu's also like the person that like atones for everything. So like after like the destruction of all the sinning and everything, it's all washed away. But then you have to do this like fire ritual. Okay, so like and Noah does this too. When they get out, they have to burn this freaking lamb, and like that's a big reason they brought so many animals. Like there's two versions of the Noah story in Genesis. One is he's bringing 2 of every kind, and the other is he's bringing 7 of every kind because he's going to have to also perform some sacrifices, which is like they really push the Cohen brothers, the Cohen priests are like really pushing that you have to have animals for sacrifice because that's their job. But you move on from the Noah version to like the what's it called? Like Yajna is like this idea of like the fire burning to clean.
It's a purification ritual. It's in most early religions all around the world. It's in a lot.
Doctor, I'm depressed because of the weather in 30 years. Have you tried smashing a 17th century painting in a museum and demanding the government cut off your primary fuel supply? I don't know. It's completely random, and we're going to avoid the Nashville Manifesto too. But yeah, burning things, that's interesting to me. Like this idea of like a burnt offering ritual. And it seems to be a major part of Twin Peaks.
Zoroastrianism.
Oh yeah, okay. Also, the Zoroastrian fire ritual.
It represents the purity of the spirit, or something like sins can be atoned for. I don't know.
This is interesting, actually, because like the fact that Zoroastrianism and the Druze do this fire thing, and the people who run the world, I feel like is a good way to put it. The Olympic fire.
Right now, Gaza is a gigantic fire ritual.
I mean, any town I've ever lived in, it's been an Olympic town, like Squaw Valley. I forget what they're calling it. Palisades now.
That ancient.
They're keeping the torch going because it's like a karma ritual.
They have temples in Iran that they've kept the fire going for 2,000 years. And someone's like full-time life occupation is keep that fire.
Right.
They've done cave excavations where they find
also Kennedy. Look at Kennedy's tomb.
Yeah.
They've done
go ahead, Seth.
Ancient cave whatever the archaeological term is. I just said it before, now I forgot it. But they've gone into like caves and found like 5,000-year-old lamps that are still lit with wicks made of asbestos. And you can make using asbestos and I forget what kind of oil, you can make eternal flames. And they found several of them at archaeological sites.
If you think about it, also fire it depends on what chronology you believe in. I don't, but it was our first tool that rose us above the animals.
Communication.
Yeah.
Language.
That too.
The first technology.
The first physical technology manipulating matter, though, was probably fire.
Yeah, you're right.
I feel like one of the things we're leaving out, though, is like the idea of what kind of demons or what kind of spirits these are, because they're not being possessed by some perfect Holy Spirit. They're being thrown into this weird, it's like the Kubrick Shining, is the other thing. Is the same energy as the Shining. Like what's happening?
Of course.
Right. So I feel like that's the Kubrick Shining. What do you think about that?
In the same way that like Greeks were monotheistic. It's a total lie. People say that Greeks were polytheistic. Like they literally thought that like Zeus was one guy and like Hades is another guy. They were describing forces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was the only
aspects.
that was the only available analogy of the time. So and we still do that today to forces we don't understand. We still give them personas and stuff. And even like like Socrates literally referred to the stars and the planets as like people. And he would like, but that's the only way he had to communicate it. I don't think he literally believed that. So in the same way in Twin Peaks, these entities are just placeholders for forces in nature. They're the same thing as the waterfall or the tree or a lightning bolt. It's just, this is what's happening. These are the forces. And this is the only way we can think to explain any of it or introduce you to any of these by drawing a parallel to things you understand, like people and personas and stuff. But really, they're just forces in nature.
It's a cosmic temple, like in Delphi, you're inside the architecture of the universe.
Yeah.
And you have to live within its bounds, and you can't really change all of it.
You know what? That's also come up recently, the idea of the oracles of Delphi, because you've got this idea of like, channeling, medium work, and a lot of what the Delphi reason we think of the oracles of Delphi is because Delphi had natural gases, and there was a lot of hallucinatory,
it's a very special place.
Qualities, right?
So the oracle is the place, not the person. People think the lady's the oracle. The oracle is actually
There's a long line of oracles, 1,000 years.
Because there's other oracles around. Oracle is actually like a physical. Sorry, I'm losing all my vocabulary, but it's a place, not a person, and the person is someone who's sensitive to it that stands at the opening.
A medium. Yep.
Yeah. So there's multiple women at the Oracle of Delphi. When they're going to see the Oracle, they're just going to a place,
Yeah, they were the elder ones too.
And even Socrates went there. Socrates had a conversation with the medium at the Oracle, and I forget what it was, but he asked some like profound question, and she actually came back with like a pretty cool answer.
That
like kind of like an impossible question, and like came back with like a satisfactory.
It's all in parables and stuff. That phrase "know thyself," like in the Matrix when Neo meets the Oracle. It's like know thyself, and you will know all the secrets of the universe and the gods.
Yeah.
Oh god. Okay.
The macrocosm and the microcosm.
Make sure I go there. I'm just gonna map this out visually. Okay.
Go to a university of Greek history, and then.
I think this is one of the Oracle caves that's in Greece. Isn't the right one? Delphi, Greece.
Yeah, I think it was definitely inland. It wasn't on an island.
Yeah, here in Delphi.
It's in a valley. Yeah. Wow, there's
interesting.
Can you hear my dog having a nightmare right now?
No, really?
No, it's got good.
Just wondering.
Cancellation.
Tickle his tummy.
Yeah, he's just pretty dreamy. He's in the Black Lodge right now.
You get him out of there.
Any other thoughts on Twin Peaks?
I'm good.
Great show. Go watch it if you haven't.
People are asking some questions about it, like who's this character, who's the giant. I mean,
well, let's dig into that. We can probably.
Yeah, giant.
What are they? Okay.
Here's a giant. We've seen him earlier. I showed you his face earlier, the tall man with the big giant face.
He's something like Mother Nature. Him and that woman that you thought was Amanda Palmer, there's something like Mother Nature.
He also looks like Frankenstein to me.
They're balancing they're like gray Jedi, they're like balancing forces of nature. That's what he is.
So go ahead.
They're really recessed.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
Oh no, he's a balancing force, and he showed.
Okay.
If you watch episode 8, when I mentioned he summons Laura Palmer to counter Lilith. So I don't know how that's all I wanted, to say about that.
In the Metropolis movie, there's a character referred to as the tall man.
Wow, he does look a lot like
him. I've always thought it was
also
like
his outfit.
And the tall man is someone who helps the father in the Metropolis.
Like a tall whites comparison.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's like not necessarily the bad guy, but he does the dirty work.
Well, that's totally fair because season 1 and 2 strongly reference Project Blue Book. You know what I mean? So that's totally. It's not like they weren't aware of this concept of the Federation and the Pleiadians and the Archons.
I don't know if that had been fully created yet. There was a real theme to all that, but then they just went wild.
Where's the concept of tall whites date back to? Is it?
It goes all the way back to Germany and before, and the Thule.
And those are pretty tall white guys, by the way. So if they're tall compared to Germans,
I think the Potsdam Giants
were a mixture, but they believed that there was some civilization that they came from.
There's
in
also
the
just
rough world.
There's also the Potsdam Giants. Like in general, like they were breeding soldiers to be as tall as possible, and they were there's culturally this idea of trying to have tall people. You know,
well, because you win battles, especially if it's like sword combat.
I mean, look, these guys. It sucks to be that tall. They're slow on their feet. Their hearts are the size of basketballs. Like they die young.
Well,
It's
the musket
flat,
changed all of that.
It's way better
suited to a high oxygen environment.
Yeah,
women. It's all about women love tall dudes. So all the tall dudes. So you're just going to create more tall dudes, you know?
The bigger, the Potsdam Giants were forced to breed. The King John,
right? They were trying to make a super soldier. That's the original concept. I mean, the Spartans had it good, but they didn't really.
He would get people from Prussia and from Turkey and from Spain, and he would like go to other kings and trade people.
That's
like, how tall are your peasants? And
wouldn't you rather have like a small, like tiny person with a gun?
I'd rather have better
like hide in holes and
absolutely.
If everyone has
behind all kinds of cover.
It's a competitive advantage.
I would rather have like a dozen Filipinos with yo-yos versus one Potsdam Giant. Are you kidding me? Like, there's no.
Like who was the football player that got shot? You got there's a linebacker that went over to Iraq. He got shot by friendly fire.
Pat Tillman.
Pat
but I
Tillman.
thought it was Afghanistan because he found out about the opium trade.
When you're that big, like if he was,
dude, you brought up Pat Tillman just now.
Yeah, that's the main
much
reason.
Respect. You know that he got murdered for bringing information to who's that?
Officer,
no, yeah, but no, come on, what's his name?
Journalist?
The Noam Chomsky guy. So he sent. So Pat Tillman sent some data privately to Noam Chomsky, and very quickly after that, he was killed in a.
But he was famous before, right? So he could people would actually listen to him if he brought it out in public.
He was a hero at the time because he quit his pro football career to go fight a war, dude.
Absolutely, because he believed in it. He believed in the patriotic
and then he got there and realized, this is
fucking
bullshit.
Yeah,
so the Taliban stealing their opium.
Just to be clear, I'm not actually saying that Noam Chomsky sent his email to the military industrial complex that he secretly works for and is.
I have heard that too. He was.
I'm not saying that. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Who would
Everyone
say
knows
that this guy is actually?
So what's I need more of this story. So what's the story? He sent a letter to Noam Chomsky.
Oh God,
he was
a whistleblower type thing.
Whistleblower. Pat Tillman was a whistleblower.
It's the same reason we were in Vietnam. Also,
he knew what was going on with like coffins filled with drugs.
Yeah,
and everything in between. Yeah, like
the Golden Triangle too. It goes back to the '60s, man. It's not.
He was killed by friendly fire. So
yeah, and he was killed by friendly fire.
On the back of the head. Yeah.
Right after the word got out, and so I'm definitely
he got fragged.
Definitely not saying that Noam Chomsky did that. Definitely not saying that, for sure. Yeah, for sure not saying that. Cool. All right, what else?
You could always say allegedly too. Just add that to the end.
I am allegedly not definitely saying
that was years before WikiLeaks and collateral murder and all that, right?
Dude, yeah. I mean that's like a total. That's a total tangent on my mind. But like, have you ever seen the Buckley debate with Chomsky? Because like, dude, I love this debate. I every once in a while I'm in a bad mood. Like if I got water splashed on me by a car while I'm taking a walk, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna watch this debate.
You should reface yourself onto him.
Oh, dude. So look at this guy. This is Chomsky. Like he's just a little gnome. Like he literally is. And then Bill Buckley is just this marvelous, beautiful man that belongs in the 101 Dalmatians television set. Like he doesn't even like.
No, he doesn't look that great either, bro. Come on, bro. That's like a Fox News host. He's not that good.
Well, I love the way he just.
His chin is like falling apart, bro. What's going on over there?
Because he's a stiff upper lip that he's trying to keep from falling on his face. I think
you got this guy too sexy, bro. He's not that good looking.
Yeah, well, you know what? Buckley. Jesuit Catholicism, it does things to you, but he really did well with that debate. Here's him looking a little older. How about that? But when in the debate, he's saying a bunch of nonsense, the kind of things that you hear all the time. And
what year was this?
Oh, 67, 64. 60s. Yeah, 60.
Who was it he slapped someone in the face in the middle of a debate?
So he says, now shut your mouth, you little and then some sort of a profanity against his
didn't actually slap me,
his sexuality, and then says, or I'll slap your silly little face right
and who was that he was talking to?
Noam friggin' Chomsky.
That was it? I thought that was someone else.
No, it was Chomsky. It was the only time he ever lost it. Anytime he's ever like, now you see here, I might just lose it. And I think that's literally where he got to that level. He's like, I might literally, I was in the CIA and I will kill you. That was really what it got down to.
He was intimidated. That was, yeah.
He was really, really frustrated kind of vibe. But it was beautiful too.
Couldn't control the debate.
Man, but the Mandela effect is no mystery because I remember everything wrong, bro. I'm like, that's who it was. I thought it was someone else, you know.
I mean, I find it interesting that like after that though, like American politics shifted so hard. It shifted against the conservatives. It became really easy to liberate the economy, Carter becomes president, and all of a sudden everything shifts. A lot of it's because of that debate. A lot of it's because they were looking for this guy to have reason, and eventually he got to a point where he was angry, and so they're like, well, if he can get angry, then the whole country's
the conservatives were blatantly full of shit, and everyone could see it. They weren't conserving anything, spending epic amounts of money on war. You know what I mean? For like an entire century. It's like the least conservative thing of all time. So it's like they had no leg to stand on at that point. Now liberals have no leg to stand on, which is good. So we can get rid of like this dichotomy and have like a balance, you know, hopefully some kind of balance.
When was the Spanish-American War?
Spanish-American War. 1898.
The Mexican-American War with the Alamo. That's before that, right?
1836.
So we had 100 years. 150 years.
1898. And Alamo is like 1830s or something.
Wow. So
1836 is the Alamo.
We had been in a series of wars, you know, all the way up to Vietnam.
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah. The Alamo looked so much cooler than it does now. Now it's just this like mall is around it, and it's this little tiny Zen garden. But like, look at this. It looks like a freaking
state from that.
Well, that's just the temple. The only thing left of the Alamo is the chapel.
Lost the battle, but won the war.
Yeah, and Pee Wee's bike in the basement.
Well, okay, we could do Pee Wee Herman.
Tim Burton's first movie.
I was thinking more Kubrick, but what do you want? Let's do a little Pee Wee Herman for a second, actually, because Pee Wee Herman is kind of an inversion of Twin Peaks. I like it's this idea.
Oh, he does look he would fit in, yeah.
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman is like he's like I came from Twin Peaks and I live in your world and I'm better adjusted. I'm better adjusted than you'll ever be.
Another great example of a concept evolving through mediums. Like we had cartoons, then we have like a living cartoon like that, and then eventually you get like a president, Pee Wee Herman. You know.
Yeah. Look at all the color themes too. They're very vibrant.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's gray and white, but he's got the red tie. Just all.
I had no idea he was gay until like last year. I just thought he was a weird guy.
When you said President
no idea.
Herman, did you mean Justin Trudeau? I'm sorry.
I didn't even mean directly. I'm just saying that like you see Elmer Fudd in a cartoon and it's like a little wacky, but you're like, well, it's a cartoon, you know, and then you see like an Elmer Fudd person in real life and you're like, now things are changing, you know, and then all of a sudden it's President Elmer Fudd and you're like, now I'm too old to like continue enduring this. I gotta die and let young people figure this out, you know.
Right. I mean, like Pee Wee Herman, though, like the idea of him being well adjusted is the difference. Like he's living in, and I think in the movie, it really kind of shows this idea. Like you've got this rich neighbor. Where's like the bathtub scene?
I don't know. I just don't see Pee Wee Herman as being well adjusted. I don't know.
You don't think so?
I don't think that was the character he was playing was well
Oh,
adjusted.
well, to the future, he was perfectly adjusted to like the future. If he was like that age now, you know.
I mean, the depends on how you stole his bike was worse, obviously, but
loner rebel Dottie, you know, a loner rebel Dottie. Like I'm a loner and a rebel Dottie.
He's like a hermetic monk, Pee Wee Herman. He does everything alone, and he's got perfect systems and reasons for everything, and he's got his whole.
He's orderly. He's got OCD to the max. Then
he's functional, which is sexy, and like the fact that he's like clean cut and he wears a suit isn't bad. It's just that at that time everyone else is so friggin' messed up because they're post Chomsky,
and his behavior is strange because he's super moral and principled. Where you see at the end where he has moral dilemmas and he has to run into the burning pet store and stuff. That's what's guiding his behavior. Is he has higher standards than the average person.
This is a Trump child that he's drowning right now, or baptizing is essentially, right? Like it's the baptism of what's his name? What's Trump's kid's name again? I'm sorry. Doesn't matter. Like the idea of these rich kids.
That's a frame from it?
Yeah.
He looks so washed out.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, maybe his face is weird, but if you remember, it seems right. I mean, this is what
it looks like it's been touched. It looks like it's been touched up.
Yeah, it looks like somebody put someone else's face on him.
I know,
just touched it up.
Oh, there was
okay. That's original. That's the scene.
But look at it; it's in a checkered floor. It's a Masonic lodge, and it's this baptism.
There's a lot of light in it through that.
It's a baptismal fount.
A lot of streaming light.
Well, bear in mind this is Tim Burton, so he loves that black and white.
Oh, really? Wow.
This is true.
It's illumination too.
I knew so many kids like this. Like they weren't even rich, but just like fat kids that were spoiled to death by their parents. And you'd go to their house and they'd be home all alone, surrounded by every toy in the fucking world.
Even the towel is black and white stripes.
Yeah. But so you got these characters, and this is the issue. All of a sudden, you have a world where do what thou wilt happen. You have a bunch of these characters which are just falling apart everywhere around you, and they think they're the normative because they're adjusting to line dancing. They're trying to dance like each other, and it's just embarrassing. And here's a guy who's so out of place, but it's fine because everything else sucks so bad that it's like he's out of place, but he's perfect. So who cares, right? So it does feel like it's like a Twin Peaks Antichrist is Pee Wee Herman because he shows up image. And he kind of, it feels like that's his vibe, and everyone is fixed by Pee Wee Herman. Everyone goes through and there's constantly justice, which is reached from the chaos, right? And there's just a lot to it, like the fact that there's kids under the Alamo. Whatever's going on underneath the Alamo and Pee Wee Herman.
Well, there's different versions of Pee Wee Herman. Like there's Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse, the actual show that was on television, which was poor kids. Like he was playing a wild character that like you would think a kid would like, just completely over the top and silly. But then when you go into Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure, that's not really for kids. That's kind of like that's like an adult movie in a way.
Yeah.
And that's when it takes on a whole different theme to his character.
All right, I'll take it. I feel like Remember the Alamo, like, okay, so yeah, sure, Tim Burton was like a demented Disney head, but like even early Pee Wee Herman. So you have to go back further. Like if you start with early Pee Wee Herman, he's a stand-up and he's going to Cal Arts and I think he got kicked out of Cal Arts.
Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke.
Yeah, but even before Cheech and Chong, like he just did stand up originally,
and
he'd go out on stage and he'd like act like an autistic kid and be like, "Stop laughing, and like just tell people." So he was doing that for adults, and eventually it ended up as like a kid's show, kind of like it was a kid's hour. Like
Pee Wee's Playhouse was definitely a kid's show.
I mean, is it like because it's okay that kids watch it, but like that's kind of like saying any of these shows. Rocko's Modern Life had like a shining episode, and Cat Dog is demented. And
well, let's think about this for 1 minute. Why do they show all the new stuff to kids? Like kids will be the first one to understand it.
Yeah,
like,
it's
so new like a cartoon. So we knew like VR. You give it to kids. Kids are more open minded and better learners. So they're like, okay, I can incorporate this. And then you have like grandpa seeing people like twerking on TikTok, and they're like, I can't. Sorry,
Yeah, grandpa can't handle that, and the kids are going to live like it'll become part of them. It's integrated into their shadow.
They also don't know limitations. Like adults understand in the real world, you can't just manifest things like imagination. Kids, they haven't learned that yet, so they actually think they can.
There's a big study on this.
The key is to be an adult who's in that open, receptive state and to remember the things you knew from before, and then to be able to incorporate understanding of the new things and compare them against each other and try to find trends, patterns, cycles. Like that's what very few people are. It's like open-minded to the old and the new. Everyone's either progressive or conservative.
Yeah, they get you into a narrower and narrower channel until you have.
Zoomer humor is Twin Peaks. What is that? What does it mean? What's like? Why is this so unfunny? Like they don't understand the parrot. This is Zoomer humor. Zoomer humor is
but that's 4chan, right?
Well, 4chan, 8chan, whatever you want to do. What is it? The point is, what's it meant? Like, look, ate spaghetti while wearing a white shirt, didn't get sauce on it when you walking. Memes then, memes down. We're baking consciousness to a level that Zoomer humor is, going to be all about paradox. It's going to be all about almost finding it's all about finding any amount of connective meaning at all in something that's falling apart. Like, right? Yeah.
I mean, the reality itself is a dance between different paradoxes competing. They don't even, like black holes. You can't describe them.
Well, okay, that's the other thing. So it's like we're losing the capacity to experience, and so all we have is this measurement. So a lot of what it is you had to be there. So kids study something that they read about, but then they kind of understand it differently later when they're older if they've experienced something. Like, oh, I can see this differently now from my experiences. But without experiences, It's and there's less and less experiences to have. And there's more and more annotated meta tag notes about other experiences that have already happened, and you're getting like reviews of like reaction videos to ideas about things that were once booked. It's like so far
all
from
in the
media.
past. Everything on the digital media is the past, but when you're experiencing creation in the present, that's completely offline. It's subjective. It's to the individual. Cycles,
Yeah.
So Pee Wee Herman was gay? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
dude. David Plate drove his taxi a couple years ago and picked him up and drove him around, and some other guy. And then the guy told him afterwards, he's like, "I'm only saying this now because David told me, and because Paul Rubin's dead, God rest his soul." But he's like, I just had sex with Pee Wee Herman. And he's just super excited about it. And he's like, okay.
Remember when MTV uncanceled him? That was pretty cool. They had the VMAs a year or two after, probably the year after the summer where he got busted masturbating in the porn theater. And then he opened up the Video Music Awards. He came out and goes, "Hear any good jokes lately?" Because there was like, that was the memes back in the day. It was like you tell jokes about like the Challenger explosion or Pee Wee Herman or anything.
That was like that. Before the internet, though, right?
Right. Everyone knew all the same jokes nationwide. What did all the astronauts on the Challenger drink? 7-Up. People knew that nationwide. And same thing with that. So,
I mean, it's super bummer that they did that, but it's also kind of interesting because it shows like
holy.
See, the thing is, he came out and he didn't apologize. He came out as Pee Wee Herman, and people accepted him right away. If he had come out as Paul Rubens and made a public apology, he would have been done forever. Never.
He was living in Florida at the time.
It's really an example of.
I'm not sure he was living there, but he was there.
You had clear evidence of the person and the persona. You know what I mean? And people chose the persona, and he did too. And luckily, that happened to work out. You know what I mean? He really came out as the persona, and he's like, hear any good jokes? And everyone's like, that's what we wanted. Like nobody wanted the person. They liked the persona that he had crafted. They loved that. No affection for the person either way.
I think his life probably just fell apart and no one really noticed it.
No, he's chill. He was doing fine. It sucked that they did that to him, that they tried to destroy him. Like, set him up on purpose. I would say more about this, but I feel like it would get me in trouble. I guess you can kind of say this now, is that Weinstein was after him, right?
Wow.
Like there's a lot to the backstory of, a lot of bad stuff happens to people in Hollywood, But the thing is, okay, also gifted membership from Alice. Jump on it quick, kids. Who can get that first.
Katie sent in some money earlier too.
Oh, Katie, let me see. I'm gonna go back and do a review here of what it is.
She sent us
Bikini Truther. Katie sent us $2.99. Thank you so much. That's freaking awesome. We love you very much. Thank you for being here. And yeah, whoever grabbed Alice's gift membership, let us know, and we're grateful that you're here. That's awesome. But yeah, he created something that's beautiful, and I think this is a big thing here. It's like if we're creating something, it's like making a servitor, making a machine that runs. It's something like the Dread Pirate Roberts that you can emulate. Someone else could be Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, it's an archetype.
And there's so many little boys that want to be Spider-Man. There's so many little kids that are trying to become these characters. And like, we're not putting out characters based on the same altruism anymore. Garrett was talking
even
about
like a Captain Jack Sparrow. When you choose to do something like that in public, you're really martyring your personhood to a persona to kind of teach people that like we are the creators of ourselves. You know what I mean? It's not written in stone. So like even when you do something like that, something so iconic,
There's nothing more real than like Darth Call doing Jack Sparrow, by the way. If you guys aren't following Jack, make sure you follow Darth Call. He literally goes around. This is him right now. He'll do Darth Maul. He'll do Jack Sparrow, and like he'll just eat at Olive Garden.
Doesn't he basically redeem himself from like the pirate life because he helped save all the sailors and stuff?
I've never thought about those films on an esoteric level, but I do remember
there is.
He's trapped on some limbo island and has to like cut open a whale or something.
But I just remember.
Guys, I actually have to hit the bricks, unfortunately. I didn't know we were starting so late. Sam's here now too.
Seth's popping out, but
I'm glad Sam's popping in because I'm about to pop out. So
all right.
How are you, Sam?
How's it going? How's it going, everyone?
I'm glad you came before I left. I gotta get out of here, but.
Got to make some more music. Got to make some more magic music.
No, I actually battled insomnia for 3 nights straight, so I want to eat that early tonight.
Listen, I've been dealing with election coverage over the last 48 hours, so I know how you feel.
I was
it's
up
good to
for
see
3
you,
days.
bro.
And
Yes,
slept last night.
That's what we do.
Should I quickly plug myself and get out of here?
Please do some
Absolutely,
plugs.
absolutely. Put them on full screen. Put them on full screen.
Yeah, I'm working on
Put 'em
this.
on
Let me set this
blast.
back. Okay,
Put them on
VBDC.
blast.
Let's blast it up. I'm going to pull up the tab for the VBDC. Make sure you guys go to the link tree for VBDC because you can check out all of his freaking amazing music.
I've got the whole album done, music videos in the can, ready to go, and just figuring out distribution and marketing for everything. So a lot of stuff coming soon. And I got the live band back together after 3.5 year hiatus with all the best musicians around. It's going to be the most epic stage show ever. I'll make sure I get tons of HD 4K video of that to share and everything. So lots of big stressful things happening. So I can't sleep, but I'm making progress.
Dude, I can't. I'm so grateful that you made the time to even like show up and like, I can't wait to get back down to LA. And
thanks for doing Twin Peaks, something I know about, man. And I loved the foursome we had tonight. I'd be down to do that anytime. It was a great conversation.
Right, especially when a puppet gets involved.
Good to see you, brother. I'll
Absolutely. Hey,
soon.
listen, stay cool. Mama didn't raise no fool. That's right. Hey, that's right.
Much love, you guys.
All right.
Laters.
All right. See you next time. Peace.
That's how it feels. All right. What's up, Sam? How you been?
Listen, I'm doing fantastic. I've been dealing with election coverage over the last 48 hours. Yes. Well, it's all. Listen, I don't want to speak on it. All you guys were talking about.
No, you can do what you do. Oh yeah. All right.
You're talking about Pee Wee Herman. You were talking about people wanting to be something, but no one will be me.
Cool.
No one will be me. I am the one and only media puppet avatar, setting the standard, raising the bar. What are we drinking down there? What are we drinking? What did he just had a drink.
Me?
No.
I'm drinking tea. I'm trying to stay warm.
Tea?
Already cooled off. Yeah.
There you go. Well,
I'm in the deep south, but we had a cold front.
He's so deep in the south, he's not Mormon. Yeah.
Well, listen, it's like I said, it's been an interesting last couple of last 2 days or so. Dealing with stuff here in Virginia, another blue wave. The Republicans are all upset.
Well, they have,
but
right?
but listen, it just gives them more content. That's what I always tell people. Rush Limbaugh, I think, was always had his biggest audience when there was a Democrat in office, if I'm not mistaken. But those are just media facts and numbers. So, anyways, it just makes for entertainment. I think that a lot of people do is they take these things a little bit too seriously. Not understanding that, as we all know, it is just a dog and pony show, right? Yep. Everything is ruled by these guys. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the case.
Isn't it though? Like, shouldn't we vote for puppets? I mean, I would vote for you. I think I want to vote for Sam.
We should try to change things ourselves and actually put out energy into the world.
Stop putting energy into it. It's exhaust.
Right.
Well, listen, when it comes to being a puppet, it is really rough. In an age when humans, media, the politicians, media personalities, just anybody is just called a puppet. Here I am, a puppet that has been doing this since Roswell. And yet people just use the term puppet and just throw it around. I could be upset. I could feel like I could go out on a limb and cancel them. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But one of the things that I would like to have puppet as an option for the gender selection on social media. I have been campaigning for this for the last 2 years, and nobody is sitting there and taking me up on it.
I got some people. I could help you out.
I consider it discrimination.
I know some people that like play Scrabble with the LGBTQ, and they could probably get puppet in there.
If they can, listen, I just want to have the selection on social media because they give you the option to do a fill-in, but it just doesn't have the same effect.
No, it's got to be
official.
Approved, official.
Yes, absolutely.
Zuckerberg has to sign on that himself. Sign on.
But I mean, like, do you worry, like, if a bunch of people start identifying as puppets, what that will mean? Are you kind of a perf? Like, are you like do you represent? Is that right? No. Terp. You'd be a terp. Trans exclusive radical puppet. Trans exclusive radical puppet. A terp.
What?
Terp.
I'm made out of felt. What are you talking about? What?
No, terp. You'd be a terp. Trans exclusive radical felt. That's what you would be.
Okay. All right. Yes. Gesundheit. More or less is what what that sounds.
Or would you be okay with it? Would you be okay with a bunch of people that are like, if I believe I'm a puppet, how would you feel about that? You know.
Well, you know what? If you have accepted our Lord and puppet Savior into your heart, then by all means, the only thing I just don't recommend is trying to step off of a boat and walk on water.
Because you're felt.
That might not due to the felt.
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
That'd be
Yes,
bad.
absolutely. It would be bad.
I like it though. I think there could be like a religion there because the idea of a puppet, right? Like the idea that you've got some sort of spirit in you. You know, that's basically what everyone believes about themselves, right? Like I think we're kind of all puppets in a way.
It's
That's a
Pinocchio's
relatable
story.
thing. Yeah.
Well, like I said, if you identify as a puppet, I'm all for it. I'm all for puppet. You listen, there's a lot of puppetism out there.
Yeah.
A lot of puppetist, if you will. Puppetism is a real thing. Like I said, I can't even choose the gender on social media.
It's more effective than populism.
Well, listen, as long as it just happens. So you said you had friends that play Scrabble? Do you have Scrabble friends? If you have Scrabble friends, I mean, that's really what's important.
I think that's
are they the type of Scrabble friends that have the damn dictionary next to the board?
Dude,
Those are the worst Scrabble friends.
I know
like,
boomers.
No, I don't want to sit there and hear your Scrabble dictionary.
Do you ever play Words with Friends with someone on an airplane? It's dangerous. I mean, but
on an airplane.
Oh man, yeah. Words with Friends is like the new Scrabble. It's a thing that we do. You got to be careful. I don't know though. If you've got a religion about puppetry, I mean, okay. So here's the thing: you've also been seeing the world, all right? And like this is also imagine 100 years from now, they're not going to know what this day of the week was, right? But they're also going to wonder about what you're experiencing. So can you kind of give like a vague, like try to explain to me, like I'm, the priest of an African tribe 1,000 years ago, what's been going on recently in the world of men? Right, because that's what there's this big like religion about an elephant, and they seem to be doing stuff.
And donkeys. There's another religion as well.
What the hell did you just ask me?
I don't know either, dude. I don't know either.
Could I have what he's having?
Something about elephants.
No, everyone's having that.
I tried really hard.
How I feel. Like 90% of the time.
I tried really hard. I really wanted the Republican elephant. What was it? There's a picture of it. Like, I'm seeing this all week, and
we're trying to have RK Jr. make a third.
This is all I see. When I see this is what I believe in. This is what happened this week. This is the only truth. This is the Twin Peaks of politics.
Red or blue, elephant or donkey. It's got to be one or the other. You can't have.
I think we lost Sam. We lost him.
Sam, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm looking up. I'm trying to follow along. I'm typing while I'm up.
He's a prestigious puppet. But
what animal as well would you choose to represent you?
Yeah, that's true. Also, what would be the puppet mascot? Not a donkey, not an elephant.
Yes, you have to have a mascot.
If I had to have a mascot, it would be a peacock.
Good choice. Yes.
Of course.
What's your dick like?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. That's.
I mean, I've never seen a puppet dick.
These are places that puppets don't go.
Can you at least? Oh, wait a minute. Can you at least buy me a drink first? I mean, at least, can we have an appetizer? Maybe a little bit of chocolate cake. 2 straws out of a milkshake.
Because you're not like fighting for like a male puppet or a female puppet. You're just fighting for puppets. So I'm wondering, like, do you have a dick?
So there is. So that is a very.
I like this show so much better 30 seconds ago. But that's okay.
That's a very uncomfortable question in terms of puppetdom. There are male and female puppets. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
In terms of what they identify, I want them to make sure they identify as puppet.
There are some Hensonians.
When we go to male and female, then it is 2023, and who knows what you'll be next week.
I do know Hensonians. There are some Hensonians out there, and some of the Hensonians are anatomically correct. Not all of them, but it does exist.
Right.
The puppets do have dicks.
Not all of them. You seem like you're really into trying to get like an all abstract reductionism here.
I just wonder if they're built like Barbies or what.
Listen, do you want me to give you my? Do you want to slide up into my DMs a little later? I can show you a few things. No.
I think it was different.
I don't want to see your puppet dick. I just want to know if you have a puppet dick.
My word. Okay, but like Ganesh, I'm thinking still about Ganesh. You had like a week where you watched a bunch of people like fight to take over politics, right? Like, and is this all in the name of this giant elephant god? Is that not what happened this week? What happened this week?
Well, the elephant god got swept by a blue wave here in Virginia.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's if you still believe that there is some sort of struggle between elephants and donkeys.
Right.
Yeah,
It is a sideshow.
dude, it is a donkey sideshow.
What do they call it? I think they call it Hollywood for ugly people.
This is true.
Yeah. So I wouldn't take too much stock into it. Of course, everything really has to boil down to military movements and classified science, which is separate from public accepted science.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to vote on that, though. That's the
no. In fact, you can't even learn about that.
Yeah,
the moment that, and then the moment that the moment that they identify you, that you're able to sit there and see those mathematical equations,
it's like putting on
pretty much in real time. Then the next thing you know, what was that? I said too much. Said too much. So back to what we were doing.
Yep.
My word.
Who killed Rodney Piper?
Who did kill Rodney Piper?
I don't know.
All I know is that they live.
OD'd, maybe?
Yeah. That's pretty good. Well, all right, everyone else, you got to know where you can find Sam the Newsman. Sam the Newsman is all over the internet.
The Newsman.
Sam is the Newsman. You can go to samnewsman.com, but you can also go to Sam Newsman on Twitter, on x.com. You go to Sam Newsman, right? And he's been doing a bunch of stuff. He's doing all kinds of puppet stuff. He's doing puppet news, puppet interviews. He's puppet reviews. And he's even got a show on the weekends where he watches cartoons. I mean, if you wanted to watch a cartoon with a puppet, like, come on, it's happening.
Every Saturday morning on an FM signal, no less.
Good show.
I
heard he's got the biggest puppet dick anyone's ever seen.
That's
yes. Setting the standard and raising the bar. That's it. Well, wait. There's a lot of bar raising. Anyways,
raising the bar with his puppet dick.
It's just how we roll. That's just how we roll.
Mark, you're Catholic, and you're gonna have to go to purgatory for like an extra week because of this.
Nah.
Can y'all be dry cleaned since water is a problem?
Yeah. How do you care for yourself? How does a puppet bathe?
Obviously, y'all are not using any water in California.
Well, I'm not going and hanging out in the beach in the sun.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
No. I love it when people are like, "Hey, you want to go camping?" And I'm like, "No, I think the air conditioning is working just fine."
I mean, you are a little pink. You could use a little bit of sun. You're pinker than me.
He's a pale horse, you know.
Okay, so that's the second thing that people always pick on me is the color of my felt skin.
I think it's beautiful.
There's a lot of pinkists out there.
There's pinkos.
Are you a pinkist? You're a pinkist now, huh?
I'm a fellow pink. I'm a pink person too.
Yeah, pink? Yeah, you're a pinkist. If you're not a puppetist, if you're not induced with puppetism across the board, then you're a pinkist. See, it eventually comes out.
Sam's getting mad now.
It comes out.
Well, you know, he has to defend, like, there's a lot going on. Like, Floyd was apparently pink, right?
Yeah.
Breathe in the air. I don't know.
What about Elmo?
It's a beautiful skin. You got beautiful skin, though, Sam.
Dude, do you know what happened to Grover?
I appreciate that.
What happened to Grover? Yeah, I feel like Elmo just kind of like usurped him, and Grover was so much cooler. I don't know if that's just
Grover would sometimes wear the helmet and have the cape.
Yeah,
Grover was a superhero.
He was into astral projecting. He was great.
Grover was in touch with the vibrations, the good vibrations.
Well, puppeteering. I have another thing I was going to pull up really quickly. Hold on.
He just pulled up himself leaving.
No.
All right, Sam. Vanished. Show's all yours now.
Poof. Well,
you got banned off StreamYard.
You got kicked out. I've gotten banned quite a few times myself. I've gotten banned on TikTok several times. Every time I go live on TikTok, somebody complains and say that I'm giving misinformation. Only bad thing.
Sorry, go ahead, Sam. Do you ever think about coming out as like a trans puppet? You probably wouldn't get banned if you did that.
Well, man, who knows? I guess at that point, if that were to happen,
you are pink.
It'd probably go viral real quick.
Yeah, first trans puppet. Hell yeah.
That's right. Have
you heard they're making there's a new Barbie? The Barbenheimer producers are making a puppet movie. Have you thought about getting in on that?
No, listen, I do my own thing. I do my own thing on Saturday mornings. Been doing it for 5 years.
Is there like a PAG? Is there like a Puppet Actors Guild? Is that like a thing that exists that they keep you out of if you aren't if you have to do some syndicated like PBS, and if you don't do that, you can't be in the guild.
I'm not really sure what any of that is all about. All I know is that I just sit there and bring back the magic of Saturday morning every Saturday morning. Because Saturday morning was taken away by the government. That's not
that's true.
Conspiracy. That's fact. So
that's the thing to go into, actually. So we used to grow up with like free syndicated, like free as in speech. You know, it was made for the purpose of
public broadcasting.
Right. And they took that from us. Why? Why do you think they did that?
Well,
who do you want to do? You want to?
Sam, you got thoughts? You're a puppet.
Well, I can tell you there was consolidation. It was all consolidation. It was all media consolidation. And it started with newspapers. And from newspapers, then it went to television stations. Newspapers started, newspaper consolidation really started to pick up in the late 80s and the early 90s. And then it was in the mid 90s to late 90s when the cable access and independent and public broadcasting channels, they all of a sudden began getting swallowed up, in terms of just becoming one. Just under this and that, and then of course they'd buy the rights to this show and that show, and everything just started shrinking. But that's pretty much the gist of it.
Have you seen what they're doing with Sesame Street? There's so they got rid of the old producers. 56 seasons, the final. They're going to do a whole new version of Sesame Street. It's going to be, the way they changed it a few times now. They had like the 60s version, they had the 80s version, the 2000s version, the 2010s version with like actor celebrities walking on the street and some green screen stuff for the ADD kids. And now it's going to be like vlogging, YouTube. It's going to be this all immersive
media.
Yeah, the new media version of Sesame Street. It's going to be very different coming in 2025. It's going to just be, I'm really scared and excited. I'll be honest. Like, I know I'm too old to care about Sesame Street, but I'm not at the same time. It looks like this is going to be like the great work. This might be the most occult show out because there's so few puppet shows left. So they can't just do Yo Gabba Gabba stuff anymore on the side. It has to be Sesame Street, which is the Twin Peaks for kids. I think that's where we're going.
The original ran for 36 years, it looks like.
Yeah, well, it depends how you look at it. It's never stopped. It's just that they've changed producers and they've changed the style of the show. Like the 90s version was still part of the 80s version. The 80s version, they would like film kids in their neighborhoods and they'd have puppets with them. Then the early 2000s and late, once Elmo is the thing, it's all ADHD. It's this green screen spasm that's just destroying children's minds. And they moved into like celebrityism, which is not super bad, but it was like Katy Perry's boobs on Sesame Street. That era happened, and now it's going to be not Saturday Night Live for kids. It's going to be this. It's I don't know because it's not out yet. But from everything we're hearing about what Henson is involved with this, and what's Jim Henson's kid's whole deal? Because are you muted, Sam?
Brian Henson.
Oh, yeah, Brian Henson. Have you seen Brian Henson's new horror puppet porno thing?
Yeah, try to stay away from that. Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, Brian Henson. He's happy. No, Happy Time Murders is messed up. Like, that's the thing. It's kind of like, so what's going on with Brian Henson? I don't know. Like, what's he doing to puppets? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't trust Brian Henson anymore.
Is he related at all to Jim Henson?
Yeah, he's his son.
That's his son.
That's his son. Okay.
Yeah. Wow, and he's been doing... He's got the most demented puppet, like what he's making puppets go through. I mean, this is stuff that like there's no protection for puppets. It's not like women, and it's like women back in 1920s, like pre-code Hollywood. Is what they're doing to puppets. It's pretty brutal.
We don't need protection for puppets. Fuck them.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
We got a deplatforming now. You can't say that.
Wait a minute. Next thing you're going to say is I'm going to have to go out camping with you. And you were asking me all these private questions, and you still haven't bought me a drink.
He's a weird man.
Puppet don't matter.
We're heading pretty hard near the end here. I'm going to make sure we is there anything else you guys want me to cover before I start showing where they can get your contents?
I don't think I have anything else right now.
Well, you look pretty, which is really the most important thing.
Well, hey, listen, it is coming up on the holiday season.
Right.
So you have to start looking your best because you're supposed to lose the 30 pounds because you're going to gain that 30 back starting in Thanksgiving.
I'm already
starve yourself for the next 3 weeks because you're going to gain it all back for the next 3 after that.
I just get fat this time of year. That's all that happens. There's no avoiding it.
Well,
hibernation techniques.
No.
If I find, should I go looking for Unisocial or what should I look for you, Ben?
No, I'm not even on anything anymore. I was on Twitter trying to build, like, rebrand, and they just blacklisted me like 2 weeks ago, so I can't get followers anymore.
That'll I show you. Well, you can always try to find him. He likes to go by Unisocial. This is his
No,
GitHub.
that's not me. Mine is Unisocial net on GitHub. I wish I had that one.
Ultra. Yeah. Oh yeah, there he goes. Yeah, Ultra. And here's the Pegasus OS, right? So yeah, you can always find the nerd. And if you want to follow this man, he's doing some amazing stuff. Actually, this is low key. Yeah, follow this man.
Yeah, it's just me at the moment, but we're trying to build a team with teach a lot of young kids how to code. So and older people too.
Sweet. And then also Ping Trip is making these amazing videos, which are Twin Peaks incarnate. And I really liked this one. It was pretty funny with the taco, a piece of pizza. Pretty dirty stuff. And then, of course, you could also make sure you go to Ping Trip's second channel where he makes his secondary content. Where's that at? Channels.
Can we do an episode without showing me in this stupid costume?
Never.
I look like a stupid puppet. That's what I look like.
That's your. You just want.
Wait, what?
Yeah, look at this guy. Come on.
I'm just gonna start attacking Sam now. I think that's gonna be fun.
This is great. You look a lot like a puppet. I like that. You are a puppet. We're all puppets. That's what's beautiful. Make sure you subscribe to Pink Trip too. He's doing some cool stuff there. I think he does his live. Is he doing his live show there? He's doing his live.
There's some live stuff. There's some live clips and stuff, but the live show is on my main channel still.
This normie guy here with it. No, Davey Jackson and Royce are actually pretty based. I actually like these guys. So good work here. I like your friends. Like what you're doing. And then Sam Newsman on Twitter. And you can go to samnewsman.com. And you can also go to Sam Newsman on YouTube. Make sure you do. And make sure you subscribe because he's got all kinds of news every single day. They're very contemporaneous. So like if you want to know what's going on in the world and you don't want to just fool around with a bunch of nonsense, you know, Sam's going to tell you how it really is.
I wouldn't follow a puppet. I've never followed
U.S.
a puppet
government
in my
is
life,
drafting plans.
I think there's better information than most all the
back into
top
Washington
anchors.
State parks.
I feel like this is the only way to get your news. If you're going to get news, the only way to get it is
you
from
have
Sam.
to have some filter. You might as well start with that.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're going to get your news from a puppet, you might as well get it from the most trusted puppet in media.
Yep.
Since Roswell.
Where's
the biggest dick?
That scene with
exactly.
People
exactly what he said.
You're just going to have to watch and find out. And then make sure everybody goes to tartarynova.com and you can like and subscribe and share and join the Discord. Ask us for things you want to do. We're going to get another show in with Eric Dilley. Eric Dilley, sorry that things went the way they did with the glitching, but it was awesome. And we'll do some more stuff soon. Love you all. Take care.
You should do a follow-up with Clive Barker's work.
Clive Barker.
Very, very much like he's like a darker David Lynch.
All right.
That was racist.
Well, happy hump day, gentlemen. From the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman.
Oh, and happy Michaelmas, because apparently
Yes.
Michael's Mass.
Yes.
I forgot. Happy Michaelmas.
The following video contains